In 2011, the FTC required that all businesses which deal with private consumer information relative to credit must establish a policy to identify red flags in order to minimize identity theft. Red flags are those suspicious markers which may indicate that your customer may not be who he or she claims to be. Some examples of those red flags are: photo ID doesn't look like the customer, inaccurate answers to questions which should be known, suspicious supporting documents possibly forged or altered, credit report activity is inconsistent with history of typical applicant, a fraud or active duty alert is included in the credit report. There are many more red flags which should be considered and cleared before completing a credit transaction. If a dealer is involved in an identity theft issue and has a red flags rules policy established, that dealer would not be liable in the event an instance of identity theft which occurred at the dealership if the policy guidelines were followed. If there is no red flags rules policy in place, the dealer would be liable in that instance of identity theft. Substantial penalties may be assessed if a dealer is found to be responsible for an act of identity theft. Establishing a policy is not difficult. There are 4 basic steps. 1. Develop a written policy which will provide measures to verify your customer is in fact the person represented. 2. Train your staff about the policy and how to comply with policy provisions. 3. Implement steps to detect, prevent, and mitigate identity theft. And 4. Audit and review periodically. Is your policy doing the job? Should new items be added? Also make note of those periodic self-audits. Common sense dictates most provisions of the policy. Do you password protect your computer? Do you leave other customers' credit applications laying around for anyone to see? Do you ask to see a photo ID? Does the picture on the ID look like that person in your office? Do you lock confidential information in a secure storage area? Do you take phone apps? If so, is the record of that conversation secure? One by one, outline the procedures your dealership will use to protect the private information of their customers. Again, common sense may dictate the steps you take. Pretend it is your information and decide how to best protect it. Make sure those procedures are followed by all employees who have access to private information. Also make sure employees who do not deal with credit do not have access to customer information. One of your greatest threats may come from your own employees. You'll also need to make sure that those vendors with whom you may share confidential information are also compliant and that they too take steps to protect that information. Keep a record showing that each applicable employee has been made aware of the policies you have implemented, and then periodically review your policy. Make changes as you discover potentially weak areas and record those periodic changes. Setting up a red flags rules policy isn't difficult, and your customers will appreciate the steps you take to protect their sensitive information. Now, for a short quiz and on to the next chapter.